The city of Pittsburgh is commonly known as a city of bridges. The bridges have truly defined this city. There are not many ways in or out that won't have you crossing a bridge. However, the bridges have also divided the city immensely. There are many people who are afraid to drive over the bridges to get into town. Some will find alternate travel paths just to avoid them. Others are scared because of congestion and traffic, and more recently the talk about deterioration of the bridges. All of these play big factors in dividing the city of Pittsburgh.
The bridges divide Pittsburgh on all sides of the city. I moved to Pittsburgh originally in 1984 as a teenager, and the first experience was on the Fort Pitt Bridge. I really don't like going in the city, though, driving myself, because I'm not much of driving over the bridges, and I've only personally driven there 3 times. I've ridden in with people many times, but just don't like to drive, because the patterns on the bridges are hard. You end up on the wrong side of town if you take the wrong turn or get in the wrong lane, especially the Fort Pitt Bridge. That bridge is crazy. I just think that some of those bridges are really old, and some of them are kind of scary just because it looks like they need some work and they're a little bit rusty. I just would rather stay in the suburbs of Pittsburgh or north of Pittsburgh and steer clear of the city, because it's just so hard getting in and out. And when you get out of the bridges, it seems like the traffic bottlenecks in the city. And I just think that, I don't know, the bridges have to divide the city just because of the river, so there's really no choice. So every side of the city has its own bridge to get people to and from, but there's just not enough anymore with all the traffic and all the cars now as to when they built the bridges. I just feel like there's more traffic now.
I have been commuting to the University of Pittsburgh every day for the last 2 years. I decided to commute in order to save money on housing. Before I started commuting to Pitt, I needed to decide how I wanted to get there every day. Living in Castle Shannon, it only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to drive into Oakland. However, I decided to use the Port Authority as my mode of transportation. By commuting via Port Authority, I must travel downtown on the trolley, then get off and catch a bus into Oakland. This makes quite a bit of walking and totals a final commute time of just over an hour. Therefore, most people have always been confused on why I use Port Authority when it is such a short drive to the university, and it seems public transportation takes so much longer. The obvious answer is always because it is included in my tuition. I mean, how could you pass up all those savings? However, that is not the main reason why I choose not to drive. The main reason is I'm afraid to drive over any of the bridges in Pittsburgh. It would be impossible for me to get to Oakland without crossing some bridge. Truthfully, I haven't driven downtown too much, but every time the bridges have scared me. Whether it's construction, traffic, or confusion, there's always something making the bridges harder to drive than my everyday suburb. More recently, all the talk about how structurally deficient the bridges are makes them even scarier to drive. It's not that I'm opposing to driving over the bridges, but if I can find an alternate way, then I will definitely take that.
Obviously, there are many people scared to drive over the bridges for many different reasons. Whether it's traffic, construction, or confusion, everybody has their reason. There is no way that this could ever be fixed due to the sheer fact that Pittsburgh is surrounded by 3 major rivers. The transportation infrastructure is truly unique and will always define and divide Pittsburgh.